Hello everyone, it is I, the Fable of Fables, your new best friend. Someone said, since I like Thundercracker so much, why don't I react to him? And I thought, you know what? You a meanie pants. But sure, let's do it. I'm joking though. I do like Thundercracker. He's an interesting character because he is a Decepticon. However, to my understanding, in some of the stories, he kind of develops a bit of he's an honorable character. He doesn't like what they're doing, and he tends to kind of become better over time. And I do appreciate characters like that. Even though they start off as evil, they slowly grow into their own kind of character. And I think that's interesting, especially in the current Skybound comic. He's showing traits of what he was in the IDW run, I believe, where he doesn't like all the senseless violence. All he really wants to do is save his brother Skywarp, and that's about really all I'll say, because spoilers. Spoilers. Anyway, let's watch Thundercracker.
It's the holiday season, so it's time to give the people what they want. By popular demand, this week we're looking at the history of the sonic-booming Decepticon who isn't convinced he's on the right side. Thundercracker. The toy that would become Thundercracker was originally released in the Japanese toy line Diaclone in 1983, under the name Jet Robo. It transformed into an F-15 Eagle jet fighter and was imported by Hasbro to become part of the first year of the Transformers toy line in 1984, in which it was also released in two other color schemes as Thundercracker's fellow Decepticon jets, Skywarp and Starscream. Thundercracker was one of the very earliest Transformers characters for whom a profile was written, as part of the original treatment for the franchise assembled by Marvel Comics writers Jim Shooter and Denny O'Neil. He was characterized as being contemptuous of any creature that couldn't fly, but also as a Decepticon who wasn't fully convinced of the rightness of their cause, who only stuck with them out of a desperate need for a sense of purpose in life. Now, that said, Shooter and O'Neil initially ascribed this personality to Starscream. It was during later revisions that writer Bob Budiansky reattributed it to Thundercracker and gave him the special power to generate deafening sonic booms at will, which he used to sow terror among his victims. Unfortunately, the intriguing idea of a doubting Decepticon wasn't explored in any classic Transformers media. Much like his flying partner Skywarp, Thundercracker just wasn't a very notable character back in the 80s. Both the Marvel comic and the animated series treated him as little more than a generic Decepticon goon, just sorta there. Always around, but rarely doing anything significant. He never even—
It's true. Me and Mac have been watching Transformers Gen 1. And have you seen some of my clips? He literally is just in the background. That's it.
Even once used his sonic booms in battle in the whole cartoon. The closest anything came to exploring his wavering loyalties was when he got into a short-lived argument with Starscream in the episode Fire on the Mountain, and contemplated letting the Autobot Skyfire wreck Megatron's newest weapon so that he could pin the blame on his fellow Decepticon. After 2 years in this limited role, Thundercracker's toy was discontinued in 1986, which led to him being killed off in both the comic, in which he was scrapped by Omega Supreme, and in the Transformers the movie, in which he was injured in battle, jettisoned into space, and had his remains recreated by the monster planet
I still think it's really
Unicron.
I still think it's really messed up that that's what they did in the movie. Just Jesus Christ.
Into the fearsome tracker, Scourge. He would later return to life in the comic, but it was a brief resurrection, as he was quickly killed once more by a cosmically powered Starscream. One further toy of Thundercracker was released in the original toy line, a non-transforming Action Master figure, which came with a jet that converted into a suit of armor Thundercracker could wear. Available only in Europe and Australasia in 1991, the figure was unsurprisingly a recolor of the Action Master Starscream toy. But infamously, rather than Thundercracker's traditional blue, it was, for some reason, decked out in a gaudy mixture of pink, purple, and green.
Ew.
Thundercracker would be even more unrecognizable when he was next seen in 1997's Machine Wars toy line, which rendered him as a small green Dassault Rafale jet. The first new incarnation of Thundercracker was also the first to revive the original's classic blue color scheme. Introduced in Transformers Armada in 2003, this new Thundercracker was a recolor of the Armada Starscream toy, and was characterized as an overlooked member of the Decepticons who often took dangerous risks in his efforts to prove himself to Megatron. In the Japanese market, however, this toy was reimagined not as Thundercracker, but as a powered-up version of Starscream himself. And since the Armada cartoon was produced in Japan, this was how the toy was incorporated into its story, leading to this line of dialogue being inserted into the English language version of the show after Starscream got his new colors to reconcile the two ideas.
It looked like Thundercracker.
Aww.
Armada Thundercracker got a makeover for the 2005 sequel series Transformers Cybertron, acquiring his own unique design distinct from that series' Starscream, transforming into a Sukhoi Su-37 jet fighter. In this form, he appeared in the Cybertron cartoon, still very much a goon, but a memorably enthusiastic and goofy one, always up for a fight, and with a fondness for over-the-top, overlong attack name callouts.
Super electric lightning thundercracking punch!
I'm sorry. No, seriously, Jetfire, all that for a punch?
This eagerness didn't translate into a lot of success.
Bro, what was
Thundercracker
that?
spent much of the show getting his butt soundly kicked, and in the series finale, he decided to give up evil and join the Autobots, just so he could be on the winning team, until his fellow Decepticons dragged him back to their side at the last minute.
Oh my
With
gosh.
his original design and regular presence in the cartoon, the Cybertron character was very much the exception among Thundercrackers in the 21st century. In the years that have followed his release, there have been a great many more
Let's look at all these toys real quick. They're really funny. The big head one. Oh dear, they're pretty cool looking toys.
Thundercracker toys, and virtually all of them have been recolored Starscreams, just like the original was.
Yeah.
It's a practice that's resulted in the creation of many different incarnations of Thundercracker in the various different Transformers universes. But while their personalities have all been pretty different, like the original, none of them have ever been the subject of much focus in media. For instance, the Thundercracker of the live-action movie universe was a chaotic Decepticon
He's a wide boy. What in the hell? Why is he so
who
wide?
thrived on the fear he instilled in his victims, of whom several toys were released. But his appearances were limited to tie-in video games and comic books, in which he was groomed by Starscream to be his second-in-command, and developed a rivalry with the Autobot RC. Transformers Animated chose to emphasize the fact that Thundercracker was just a recolor by depicting him, Skywarp, and the other characters who have shared their design over the years as literal clones of Starscream. Each clone represented an aspect of Starscream's personality. Thundercracker was a self-aggrandizing egomaniac, with only a brief role in the series that ended when he and Skywarp were hurled through a portal into deep space. A full-size toy of animated Thundercracker was designed, but it was never released, with only a small-scale activator figure of him being sold at retail. The Thundercracker of the aligned continuity, meanwhile, had toys made in his image in both the Transformers Prime and Generations toy lines, but his only significant media appearance was in a single level of the War for Cybertron video game, which characterized him as a calm, intellectual scientist. So, yeah, while Thundercracker has maintained a reputation as a significant legacy character with a bigger and more regular presence in the many iterations of the Transformers franchise than most, outside of the atypical Cybertron Thundercracker, it's not really because he's ever done much, with his status being more a product of the fact that he originated in the brand's first year, he's an easy recolor to make, and he's part of a classic set of 3 that fans want to see completed each time a new toy of one of them gets released. But there has been one piece of media that has put the spotlight on
The IDW run, which is the best run for Thundercracker.
and explored the original idea of the Decepticon who didn't fully believe in what his side was fighting for. And that was IDW Publishing's comic books. Thundercracker was one of the first Transformers to appear in IDW's comics when they launched in 2005. But it was in the 2008 series All Hail Megatron that the atrocities the Decepticons committed during their full-scale invasion of Earth led the doubting Thundercracker to conclude that they had lost their way.
They did.
Turning against his comrades, he saved the Autobots from a nuclear bomb strike Megatron had orchestrated. Injured by Skywarp in retaliation for his betrayal, he proceeded to go into hiding on Earth, spending his time watching human television broadcasts, fascinated by the adaptability of the human species, unlike Transformers, who had been locked in unchanging war for millennia. In the years that followed, he became a
See, this is why I like certain characters like this. Ones that understand, okay, not understand their role, but see the truth in things. Like Beachcomber. Beachcomber hated war. He hated the fact that all of his friends just saw the war over and over, and he changed. Thundercracker's the same, and especially in the IDW run.
an ally of the Earth Defense Command, who granted him sanctuary and companionship in the form of a dog named Buster.
Look,
and
see?
his love of television evolved into a desire to become a screenwriter himself.
Aww.
He periodically found himself having to emerge from his cozy life to help the Autobots defend his new adopted homeworld against the dangers posed by the Decepticons and other alien forces. Reluctantly at first, but with growing resolve each time there was a new threat to face. And he gradually formed a friendship with EDC Commander Marissa Fairborn, piercing her tough exterior with his enthusiastic, if slightly goofy and wide-eyed approach to his new life. Thundercracker would ultimately get the chance to realize his dream, first making a movie about the
I streamed the movie. Thundercracker, no.
life of Starscream, and then another about the G.I. Joe Chuckles, and the comics came to an end in 2018, with Thundercracker waiting to hear if he'd won the award for Best Screenplay.
Aw, I hope he won.
Other recent appearances by Thundercracker have included cameos by multiple robots wearing his colors in the Bumblebee movie, a recurring supporting role in the Transformers Cyberverse cartoon as one of the Decepticon jets under the command of Slipstream, and a new figure in the War for Cybertron Siege toy line based on his Cybertronian mode from the original cartoon. If this toy will lead to appearances by Thundercracker in IDW's new rebooted comics, or the upcoming War for Cybertron Netflix animated series, we don't yet know. But hopefully, writers will continue to see the potential in old TC's unique personality and not let him fall back into the background.
And the good news is, indeed, like I keep saying, because I want you guys to understand, Skybound is doing an amazing job with their comic. Yes, it's kind of edgy at times, but it's literally Gen 1, just reimagined in a more grittier form. Thundercracker has that personality. And I love him, dude. He just seems like such an interesting character.
And those are
Like, he's a villain turned... I don't want to... So what I want to try to say, he's a character. He's a good guy turned... Like, the IDW... The Skybound comics, again, I'm saying this is because it's true. He's a good character. I want to see more of him, and I think he has the potential to be amazing. He's not a villain turned good guy. Well, maybe he is a villain turned good guy. Or maybe he's an anti-hero. Or maybe he just doesn't want to do his own thing. Either way, I'm happy for him. He finally achieved his dream in the IDW run, and I hope he won the best screenwriter, because he deserves it. He looks like he's trying his best, and gosh darn it, I want nothing for the best for him.
And those are the basics on Thundercracker. Which version is your favorite? Head down to the
IDW
comment.
run. Anyway, guys, I love you all. I will see you all later. Boy. Oh, yeah, seriously, guys. Better intro. Guys, thank you. Yes, if you have anyone you want to recommend to me, please do so. Please do recommend them in the comment section below. I'll probably react to it as soon as I have time. I love learning about different characters. Thundercracker is one of my favorite. Yes, I know he did some bad stuff. I know he does some bad stuff, and I know he's literally just a copy of Starscream, but that's completely fine. He ended up getting his own character arc in the IDW run. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know who your favorite character is if you want. Let me know, recommend me some different ones. Make sure to check out Chris McFreely. Without him, wouldn't be able to do this kind of stuff. All right. Anyway, love you. Bye.